Okay, so we are going to look at the first assignment. And this assignment here, you're told that it contributes 50% towards your semester mark. So you just need to get good marks from your assignments. Questions 1 to 20 of the assignment are multiple choice questions. In each question, select the most correct option. Then you look at question number 1, it says, what affects the price elasticity of demand for a good? So this question is about price elasticity of demand for a good. For those who have watched the video recordings, I'm sure you are able to remember some of the things which affects the price elasticity of demand. But before we look at those things which affects it, let's start by looking at the definition of price elasticity of demand. What are we measuring? I think I've been asking this question over and over again. What does it measure? Price elasticity of demand. Let me ask Bukega first.
Measure price.
Can you say it again, Bukega?
Can you ask the question again?
Yes, I'm saying, what does price elasticity of demand measure?
Price elasticity of demand. Measures price.
What exactly about price?
Remember, price elasticity is about it is about the demand of that whatever it is that it's about the demand of that product demand.
Yes.
Right, whether the price goes down or up. If the price goes down, there might be a higher demand of the price of the product. If the price is high, there will be low quantities that are sold.
Excellent. Yes. So what basically you're telling me, Bukega, is a relationship between price and demand, right? So you are telling me that the quantity demanded of the product, it responds to changes in the price levels. So whenever price changes, then the quantity demanded also changes, right?
Yes.
But when you look at this thing here, price elasticity of demand, we are measuring sensitivity. Right? Whenever you use the word elasticity, it simply means sensitivity or responsiveness. Right? Price elasticity of demand, it measures how the demand is sensitive to changes in the price.
Oh,
so basically, it's a mathematical measure. It's a mathematical measure of how responsive demand is to the price. Right. But however, when you look at that sensitivity, there are certain things which affects price elasticity of demand. If you've watched the video recordings, can you still remember those three things which are highlighted, which affects the price elasticity of demand?
Yeah.
Firstly, it depends on the proportion. It depends on the proportion of income. On the good. That is the first thing that affects price elasticity of demand. The proportion of income spent on the good. So in effect, it means that the higher the proportion of income that you spend on the good, the more responsive or the more sensitive the price elasticity of demand is. Right. So if consumers are spending a larger sum of money to buy a particular product, they become very sensitive to the changes in the price. On the other hand, if consumers are only spending a smaller proportion of their income, then if the price of that product changes, then consumers, they are not very sensitive to that change, is it? You can think about an example. Let's compare, like I'm thinking of a product whereby a consumer can spend an insignificant amount of money, right, so to speak. Okay, let's think about smokers, right? Even though or some of you might not be smoking, right? Those who smoke, they only spend a smaller proportion of their income on a cigarette, is it? So you'll find that if the price of cigarette changes, it doesn't really affect much on demand. Consumers, they don't respond that much, is it? If the price of cigarette goes up, consumers are not going to lower down their consumption, is it? Because the price has gone down. Why is that so? It is because consumers, they only spend a small proportion of their income to buy cigarette. So the smaller the proportion of income spent on a product, then the smaller the price elasticity of demand, which means the demand is insensitive. But on the other hand, if consumers are spending a larger sum of money, right? For example, maybe it's rent. You can think about rent. Because rent takes a significant portion of our income. If the price of rent changes, then consumers, they become very sensitive, is it?
Yeah.
Yes, because they spend a larger proportion of their income. So that is basically what this point is stating. The proportion of income spent on the good, it affects the price elasticity of demand. But the second thing which also affects the price elasticity of demand is the closeness of substitutes or complementarity.
Oh, yeah.
The closeness of substitutes and or complementarity. So what do you mean by this point here? We mean if a product has got a close substitute, then if the price of that product changes, then consumers can easily switch on to the substitute product. And hence demand becomes sensitive. You can think, for example, maybe we have got peanut butter and margarine. Right. Butter and margarine, these are substitutes. Either a person can take butter. If they don't get butter, they can switch on to margarine. Yes. So we find that if, for example, the price of butter increases, then consumer can easily switch to margarine. So the fact that they are switching from butter to margarine, it means the quantity demanded of butter, it changes very rapidly. It becomes very responsive. Why is that so? Because consumers, they've got a substitute. They can easily switch from one product going into another product. So the more substitutes they are, the more sensitive the demand is to changes in the prices. But however, if there are no substitutes, example, let's talk about alcohol in general. Let's talk about alcohol. As a product. What are the substitutes of alcohol? If you don't, let's have example, you drink alcohol.